Hello, everybody. I'm Graham Elwood, the political vigilante. I'm here with God's favorite atheist, Arabella Bloom. Thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. And for anybody out there watching, this is what you get at the $25 level. You get to chat with me with or without pants.
I got him on today.
That's fantastic.
You never know with me.
That's fantastic.
I'm great.
So,
you guys should definitely become Patreons. This is awesome getting to chat with Graham. It's super cool. I know a couple of people that have already said they're going to next month so that they can get to interview with you. So that should be fun. I'm excited.
You guys bring, the questions and stuff that you brought the last month, and then all the questions you guys asked me on the Super Chat Sundays are just, it's so inspirational and it's so cool. It's such a cool, smart community that's being built here, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. So.
Oh, part of it. You're the father of it. You have to stop being modest.
Okay. I'm glad I started this thing. It's cool. I didn't know what would happen. I didn't know if a bunch of wingnuts would show up or Trump trolls or.
Well, I'm a wingnut.
Yeah.
Believe me. I mean, you've read some of my tweets. You know I can go out there a little bit.
Yeah. But you guys are like good. You're like a good progressive wingnut. You're not a like Hillbot or a Trumper. So it's a fun.
She's the only person that can write a book asking a question with the answer right on the cover. What happened? You did. You happened.
That book is like, everyone's like, why do you guys keep bringing up the election? She's bringing it up. She just dropped a book that doesn't take responsibility for anything. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? It's like, she's like a crazy.
Give it to a blind person.
What?
Give it to a blind person.
Yeah, it's like,
that's all you can do. You don't want to burn a book because I don't condone book burning, but give it to a blind person. They'll never, ever see it.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Or let a homeless guy build it into a fort or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe millions of years from now, it'll be all, hard and people will find it and then they'll think that was somehow true. That's when somebody will finally believe her book.
Is 1,000 years from now after civilization has ended. Okay, well, I'm sure she'll hang on to that hope.
I made something for you. I got to reach for it. So
right,
give me a second.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
Let's see.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, my God. That's a badass logo. Did you draw that?
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
And I even gave you a little light bulb because you're lighting people's minds up.
Oh, Arabella, that's the coolest thing.
I thought that you would like it. So I noticed that, nobody had done it yet for you. And I was just like, it's so obvious what yours should be. It just made sense to me. You're making Gotham great again.
I'd love to put that on a shirt.
I don't know how to get it to you. Can I put it in the computer somehow? Don't make fun of that.
I don't know. How would we do that?
Well, okay, let's talk about that afterwards.
Okay. But thank you so much, Arabella. That is like, that's.
I thought you would like it.
You thought right. That's the coolest thing. I mean, that's like, I didn't think. I'm at a loss for words. That's.
We made you a superhero now. Don't you get it? You're out there saving the world, and you're gathering an army to do it. So.
That's so.
Be proud of that.
Thank you. I am super proud of that. That's really that's heartwarming. That's that gives me a lot of hope. That's really cool, and that's. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun. I had a lot of fun. It's the first one that came to me. That was the very first thing. I just thought about like what encompasses Graham. When what comes through to me the most about him that would be an awesome logo. And that was it. That was obvious to me. that should be it. Anyway.
I don't want to start crying. So all right, let's get into it.
And it just went right out of my head what I was thinking. I was thinking North Korea and let's save the world.
All right.
So I was trying to figure out. I keep hearing everybody talk about what we need to do right now, right? Like to fix everything. And my question then became, well, what do we do to make sure it stays that way? Because how do we know 100 years from now, 200 years from now, this isn't going to just devolve right back into that? Because it didn't even take it that long to devolve from from the 50s and 40s. So how do we know? How do we make it stick? And I kind of think I might have came up with something that might actually work. What do you think about if we had an unchangeable law? Like this was just the root of everything. Okay, you cannot change it. Nobody can lobby it. This is just the way it is. Everyone that holds government office has to have the exact same income as the average working family. You can't have any more. You can't have any less. You can't take donations. You have to live like the people live. So if you want to live in a nice fancy house and you want to have nice things, you have to make sure your people do too. What do you think about that? I think that would kind of solidify anything.
I mean, I have several thoughts. First of all, I think that's a fantastic law, and I haven't advocated that directly, but that sentiment of if the politicians had to live and sacrifice the way everyone else did. I mean, I've made the case specific to war. If politicians' kids all had to serve in a forward area as enlisted, then I think it would change. And what you're adding to that, I think, is even better, because if they were making, the average salary in America right now is something like $45,000 or $46,000 or something like that. If they were making that kind of money and were not allowed to take any donations, that would drastically change our system. And I think that's a fantastic idea. The question of, it sounds like you had several questions in there. So, everyone's asking, what do we do? What do we do? Just to address that one initially, I would say, I know that's a big hurdle, because I think a lot of people look at this Mount Everest-sized mountain in front of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, where do you start? I mean, there's 2 hurricanes, and the wars and the poverty, and like, what do we do? And the thing I've always said with regards to that, and I think it now more than ever, personally, I think the environment is the most crucial thing, because without it, it doesn't matter.
Nothing matters without that.
It doesn't. It doesn't matter about Black Lives Matter, women's rights. None of it is gone. It's all gone. Schools, if we don't have an environment. So I think that, to me, is the most pressing issue. So I think addressing that in one way or another is the most important thing. And as we've talked about, as we've talked about in the super chat, like, environmentally interconnected ideas are key. Like the Green New Deal, we talk a lot about that. That would help the economy, that would put people to work, and it would help save the environment. And I think your idea of they're not allowed to make more than a certain, the average American would also, and they're not allowed to take outside money, would help that too. Because then if you're not taking outside, if you're making $47,000 a year as a congressman, then
you're going to want more. If you want more, you got to make sure everyone else has more.
You got to make sure everyone else has more. And if you're not taking money, that means you can't take money from the oil companies and the carbon industry and wherever else to tell you, to vote down this climate change legislation. So your issue would also help the overall issue of the environment. Now, the where do I start? The mountain is too big. I always view, like, you just got to do something. You got to take a little step. And I think every little thing helps. And I just know, like, you got to put it in perspective, because I think what happens, and I talked about this on that video I did last week about how do you pay attention without going crazy.
I loved it, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's Yeah, it's like I've had some people close to me just sort of bail because they didn't want to participate, and it's hard to watch. And I think that can that's an easy step to take, or a right turn to take if you're standing there like, I want to do something. Oh my God, this mountain's too big. The hell with it. I'm going to just bail. I'm going to just go right to apathy, and I'm going to check out. So I think the things for me, like I try to like live a life of balance, and part of the balance is I want to help. I'm going to do things to help. I can't fix everything. So, and I think that's what I would also, in addressing to how do we, your solution, is a very good one. How can we do it so 100 years from now? For me, I would say let's put the best stuff in place, and then, first of all, we need an engaged democracy. We need election reform. Mm-hmm. If everybody's engaged, then maybe 100 years from now. But also then we got to do the best that we can, and then there's a certain part we got to let go of, because something could come up 100 years from now that we never even thought of. That maybe there's a goddamn alien invasion or something. I don't know. And so
crazier things have happened. Trump is president, people.
Yeah, there's people. Rush Limbaugh is saying the hurricane is fake. So
I know. I don't even. I was here. People, it wasn't fake.
Yeah.
Not fake. People were devastated, and we need bug spray. Can I just say that real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's thinking of bug spray, guys. We need bug spray. Everybody's sending diapers and stuff and food and stuff, but the mosquitoes are getting really bad, and people are starting to get sick. So we need bug spray.
All right, guys, you hear that? Send bug spray to Houston.
Sorry, go ahead.
But that's the thing that go in terms of the specifics of a disaster. That there's all these little things that happen that you don't take into account. You've got a bunch of stagnant water now from all the flooding. It's still hot in Houston, so mosquitoes are going to flourish.
They're bad. They're really bad right now, and everybody's getting bit.
Yeah, and they're carrying disease, and it's a real issue, and it's something you don't think about. When a hurricane hits. So anyway, that's my response to your first questions. I don't know if that was good enough for you, no,
it wasn't good enough. Give me better.
Sorry, was that a sufficient answer for you, or would you want to know about it?
I guess it'll do, man. I guess I can't get any more than that out of you.
I'll give you this. I'll give you some more personal examples, right? Mm-hmm. So as I've talked about on the show, I'm a Red Cross volunteer, and they're asking for they need so many volunteers to do so many things. So one of the things I signed up for that fits within my schedule, because I'm busy and there's others, I'm doing this show and my podcast and this movie and all this other stuff, is they need people to come into the office because there's all this administrative crap that needs to happen now. People sending in physical donations still, like checks in envelopes, and those have to be processed, and it's not the glamorous thing of serving food in a shelter, which needs to happen, but it's like any big organization. You need people in the office. Like there's people, that work in the office at the fire department. They have to do the paperwork of the fire department so the trucks can get to the fire and help people. So I signed up for a shift of that, and my, whatever you want to call it, my guilt or my need to try to fix and save everybody. Oh, I'm an idiot if I'm not, I need to go to Houston for 2 weeks, which I want to do, but it's just not feasible for me right now to be completely off the grid for 2 weeks. I really want to do it so badly, but I got to be realistic. So then I do where I work where I can.
Don't worry, Graham. There'll be another hurricane next year that you can help with.
I hope not. I hope it's not 53 inches. Oh my God. But so that's an example, I think, that I would use when I'm talking to somebody that feels sort of overwhelmed by the enormity of all of this, the task. I'm like, just do what you can, and every little bit helps. I mean,
it does.
And then it makes people feel better.
Think about ants, Ants, they, apart from each other, they are incapable. But together, they can take down lions, man.
Yeah. Yes.
Get enough of us together, that's going to happen.
And you're seeing it.
Oh, yeah.
come together. You're seeing people get together and form stuff and ask questions and get involved, and it's so amazing. I mean, just the the fans of this show, the followers of this show, are telling me, oh, I got involved in this thing in my local group, and I'm running for this, or what. I'm just like, that's awesome. That's so fantastic.
You put you make people want to do stuff. Like, you put it in a way that makes you feel like you can do something. Like, I was terrified of being on camera before this. Now I'm on camera every day.
That's great.
You know? Like, I mean, before any of this happened, I thought for years about doing something on YouTube, but I would just say, you know, who am I going to talk to? Who's going to listen to me? You know, why would anybody care what I have to say? And then Bernie Sanders came along, and I saw that there were way more of me out there now than I thought there was. And so I was like, I started watching secular talk. And then I started watching TYT. That led me to TYT, which led me to Jimmy Dore, which led me to your show. And I settled on your show because out of all of them, I love them all. But you're the only person that seems like a genuine, like, just a dude. Just a guy that just wants to make things better. You know? So it's like you inspire that in people to want to get up and be like, you know what, I'm just a girl, but I can do something about this. So whether you like it or not, that's you.
Well, I like I wanted to sort of inspire people and motivate people because I was partially doing it to help motivate myself, but I didn't anticipate it would even just grow like this in such short of a time, that's really cool. And that's what because to me, I've always been like, you know, complaint without action. It's like anything, you know what I mean? Anybody, just like, I hate my job, then quit it, get a new one. No, I don't want to.
Okay, we can do that. Like people who say they hate the president, but they didn't vote.
Right.
Like you don't get to complain about it, man. You complain about it when you did something about it.
I know.
That's when you complain.
Oh, they're like, well, I didn't want to vote for Hillary. Well, my ballot had 5 or 6 names on it. I don't know what your ballot had. Like, I don't want to hear that excuse of like, you know, like, get involved. And I understand, you know, that the system is designed to sort of make us disengage and not pay attention and be too busy, and we got to work 3 jobs, and we're just going to get swallowed up in, you know, the Kardashians and social media and get all mad about silly stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that there's action for people to take, and I've seen so many people just take little small actions, and they mean huge things. And I think some of the greatest revolutionaries in the history of the human race, a lot of them were just like, I got to do something. They weren't like born into like some wealthy or powerful position. I mean, some people were, but a lot of people just went, I don't want to, you know, like Rosa Parks.
It's like it's forced upon them.
Yeah.
Like no one else will do it, so I have to.
Like I remember when I was in college, I worked. I was like a security guard at the games, and the main reason I did it was so I could go to the football and basketball games for free. I was a college kid. I just wanted, you know, I wanted to save money. So I was like, oh wow, I get paid to go watch football and basketball. I'm so great. And one of the events that at the basketball stadium in Tucson, I went to University of Arizona, was like, oh, Rosa Parks is coming to speak. Do you want to work security for it? And I was like, yeah. And I remember being whatever I was, 19 or something.
Yeah.
I'm watching this, she was in her 80s at the time. Just this little old woman come in there and just like, well, you know, I just, she had this little microphone in her hand and was just sitting there like, there's my grandmother. And she's just like, well, I don't know. I just didn't want to sit on the back of the bus. I didn't like it. And you're just like, she wasn't some general or, you know, she was just like, oh, I'm going, taking the bus.
A person.
And I saw that and was like, that woman is a badass. And so you go like, if she can do that, and they're threatening to beat the shit out of her, and the cops arrest her, and nightsticks and all this crap, I'm like, if that woman can sit there and do that, then I can do something, you know. And I think it is the small gestures like that, and like you say too, like the ant metaphor, and how Bernie, no one knew who he was.
No,
ago?
I didn't.
Not,
I had no idea who he was until I heard about him. And then he did the impossible. He closed a 60-point gap. An unknown person closed a 60-point gap on probably the most famous politician we have. You say Hillary Clinton, and I guarantee you 99% of the country will know exactly who you're talking about.
I would wager that 80% of the world
Yeah,
knows who she
definitely.
is. They know the Clintons. The whole world knows the Clintons, and he went up
Yeah.
against that.
They just don't know what the Clintons have done. They've done really good at hiding who they are behind this facade of dinner parties and wine drinking. Save it. We don't believe you. You're phony. You need to go into the woods and take Dick Cheney with you, okay?
Go into the woods and take Dick Cheney with you.
That's what I feel like when it comes to Hillary Clinton. I worked on that joke for a little bit. I really am proud of that one.
All right. Well, what other questions do you have?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like North Korea. What do you think? What do you think's gonna happen there? Like, really, like all joking, all bullshit aside, what do you think is gonna happen there? Do you think we're gonna do you do you think we're gonna provoke them into hitting us? Because that's what's happening. We're provoking them. So
It's they want to do that. The mainstream media will not talk about the fact that North Korea wants, has offered to scuttle their nuclear program. If we
like 4 times, right? Like 4 separate times. Yeah, and then didn't back in '93, didn't Clinton? He negotiated a deal, and then like the Republicans took the House or something, and they were like, you gave him too much, so he just didn't do it. So they went back to nuclear programs.
The military industrial complex has needed this North Korean bad guy to justify so much stuff, and I'm afraid that with this president and with this corporate media and the deep state, that there's gonna be some false flag attack in Seoul or something off. I really hope this doesn't happen. But it's really, they want it. They want war. They want war. They want war. I mean, everybody. Nikki Haley from the UN, like, they want it. They're hungry for it. The media is all ready to jump in and talk about the next war, like we're in 1984. And
now, people don't realize what North Korea actually is. See, everybody sees it as this like desolate place that you don't want to ever go to. And North Korea, for about, I'd say, 1,300 years, was peaceful and Korea, I'm sorry, because there was no North back then. For about 1,300 years, they were peaceful and prosperous and prideful. And they were advanced. They were an advanced civilization. They were incredibly smart, and they played a major part in the development of the world as we see it today. And then, like 40 years before Japan surrendered to America in World War II, Japan invades them and stripped them of their identity. And then when we defeat Japan, they think, yes, we're getting our identity back. But instead, we cut it in half. And we've been causing war there ever since. And people are going, I don't understand why North Korea hates us so much. Well, we dropped more bombs on them in the 50s, in like 1950 to 1953, than we did the entire World War II. Maybe that has something to do with it. A little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe we've like done a regime change in every single country we've had give up weapons to us. Have we done that? I don't know. If memory serves correct. I mean, it's just like ridiculous how people don't understand. We're dealing with a culture that they're not going to back down to a bully. The more you pressure them, the more they're going to flare their feathers up. Well, they're peacocking, we're peacocking.
Well, the other thing too is if you look at, they're well aware that we could erase them in a day. And why do we have to flex so much? Why do we have to have these massive war games with Japan and the South Koreans? Like, why do we have to do that so much? And part of it is, I know we're it's a nod towards China, but we go around and flex everywhere and then act surprised when countries. And again, I'm not excusing what Kim Jong-un and his dad have done. They're repressive.
Yeah, they're horrible. Yeah. They're horrible. But, I agree with that.
Well, what do you think? What do you expect? I mean, it's like...
You know what it reminds me of? Did you ever see that video that went around on YouTube that was the dude that punched the kangaroo in the face that was, like, attacking his dog? I call that kangaroo the situation because of the way he, like, bucks up and he's like, what, bro? What? And then he gets popped in the face and then he's like, did you just hit me? That's what it reminds me of.
Right.
Like, that's what I see playing in my head. Like, I don't know if you saw my video, but I did a video where I compared Kim Jong and Donald Trump to the movie Step Brothers. And I said I was just waiting for Kim Jong to run over and wipe his balls all over Donald Trump's drum set.
I did not see that video, but that's a fantastic analogy. It's like you've got two lunatics. I mean, like... there's much, obviously, I've talked about that I was so disappointed in with Obama, but one thing that he was sort of good at was when dealing with this guy of kind of calmly addressing him without provoking. Yeah. Now, we still did war games around there. I mean, but Trump is just, I mean, each week there's a new thing. Like when he said last month about he was going to use nukes. I mean, just like, that's scary.
Carl Sagan said it first. Carl Sagan said it first. He said it on the Cosmos. And then he talked about it a lot. He said this is where we were heading if we didn't change our ways, and look at where we are. The man was right about almost everything else. Maybe we should listen to him. It's not like it's the Mayan calendar. This shit is happening. This is for real. And it's not, so the mark of a good leader is not the fact that he cares about the good of his people or his allies' people. It's a leader who takes care of all people, who considers all people, especially his enemies. So, what does that say about our leadership?
It's so disappointing. I mean, when you bring that up, it's so great. But I'm like, I'm bummed because there's so few leaders on the face of this earth that are thinking in those terms.
Yeah.
And definitely none of the superpowers leaders are thinking in those terms. It's all just this sort of selfish, we got to get ours, and we got to protect our own, and we got to, further our economic interests around the globe, especially America. And then we act all, again, how dare Russia and China try to exert their power all over the world? You mean the way we've been doing?
Exactly. I guess I got to run for president. I guess that's the only option I have now is to just run for president and hope the media doesn't eat me alive. So, Arabella Bloom, 2020.
I'm in. I vote. I'm in. I'm totally in. Well, maybe
you say that, but what if I ran?
If you had a platform that I agreed with, I would get behind you.
I don't think that there's one thing we disagree on. Actually, every time I hear you talk, that's why you quickly became my favorite personality, is because I couldn't find anything to argue with you on, and I have never met someone like that. I can argue with anybody. I can argue with a fence post if I'm bored. Okay? I can't argue with you on anything because and you're so open to the possibility of other things being true that you don't know about yet, that it's not like you're just a total arrogant person who thinks this is the way it is and no one else can talk to me. You're not like that. So.
Thanks. That's what I try to be. I try.
Just saying.
Well, all right. How about one more question? God, we've been talking.
One more question. Okay, I wanted to know this one for a while. Did you watch Jekyll?
Oh, no, I haven't watched Jekyll yet. I know you
Okay, so here's the thing. The reason I'm hounding you about this is because I know from what I've watched on your movie chats and things like that, the things you've talked about, this is going to be quickly one of your favorite shows.
Really?
It is the best Jekyll and Hyde series ever. It was done by it was BBC, I think, and it's just called a series. It's 7 episodes long. And I saw it on Netflix a few years ago, but now you got to buy it on Amazon. I'm sorry. But I sent you a couple of short clips of the show, and then I didn't ever hear anything, and I was like stewing on that. I was like,
Sorry.
no, because I know you're gonna love it. You have to watch it. It's the best, and that's the guy that I said should be the next Joker. It didn't hit me at first. That's him. And like the thing is wait till you see how he can change his face, like how much his body physically changes and how his whole attitude changes, and it's like crazy. And then he has that smile, that classic Joker smile, and it's like it's creepy. He has the teeth and everything, and he could totally morph into that character. But I don't know who would ever beat out, and his name just went out of my head. Oh, come on. You want me to make a pencil disappear? Here. Come on.
Oh, yeah, Heath.
It was a lot. Heath, thank you. His name just like flew right out of my head. I don't know if we're ever going to get better than Heath Ledger because he brought so much, and that's my favorite super villain of all. And so, like, he blew my mind with that.
Yeah, the Joker is one of the best just villains anyway. But then what Heath Ledger did, I mean, like that was one of the greatest depictions of the Joker that I've ever seen. It was so it was so crazy and really encapsulated the chaos that the Joker just loves chaos. That scene. Well, I could talk about The Dark Knight forever, but that scene when he's in the hospital with Two-Face with Harvey Dent. And Harvey Dent puts the thing up there, and Heath Ledger's like, yeah. You can see his eyes like, he's totally okay if there's a bullet in this gun. Like, he's not worried. He's like, yeah, maybe today's my day. Like, wouldn't care if he got his head blown off. And I was like, that is the Joker.
Yes, it is. Like, he encompassed in that one character, that revived Batman for me. Because I had lost interest in it a little bit, and I had seen all of them. And that when I saw him as the Joker, I couldn't stop watching the movie. Like I watched it probably 12 times in a week. I just went straight through it every time, and I loved everything he did with the character. I love how they did his makeup, and it wasn't all nice and neat and clean. And I love how we got to see him without the makeup, with the scars on his face, and we learned like how that happened. Oh man.
Well, he told two different stories as to how it happened. That was what was also crazy.
Well, yeah, he did. I'm not sure which one's true or if any of them are true, but at least we have something to think about. Well, maybe this is what happened to him.
That's what's so great is he tells these two horrifying stories, and then you're like, did they happen or they lie? Which one's true? Maybe they both happen. Like you don't know. It's just, which is so.
He's so crazy.
It makes his craziness even better. And then that scene too, where they're in the interrogation room and Batman is, all mad at him, where's Rachel? And he says, when Heath Ledger goes, don't talk like them. You're not one of them. And makes this really valid point of like, yeah, you're a guy that dresses up like a bat and beats people up. You're, you're this far away from who the Joker is. And it's like, that was such a great point. And such the sort of that's the duality of those two characters.
I love it.
Yeah, the Batman's a little nuts. He has to be a little nuts,
But I am convinced that once you see the actor in Jekyll, that you are going to be like, that guy should be the next Joker.
Okay.
And that's why I'm so insistent that you got to see this dude and you got to give it more than the first episode. The first episode's good. Don't get me wrong, but you really get a good sense of him when he kills a lion. And I'm not going to tell you any more than that, but he kills a lion.
All right. I apologize for not watching the clips and watching the show sooner, but I will do that. I promise you.
And this is what I chose to do at $25. Talk about Jack.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else?
I want to say hi to Winkle the Bernie Bro because I promised him I would because he's helping me with my channel and he's doing some really great songs. So I don't know if you've heard them yet, but they are awesome and you should check them out.
No, he sent me some songs. Winkle the Bernie Bro, man. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for supporting God's favorite atheist, and keep the music coming. Maybe with your logo, Arabella, and he could come up with a theme song for Political vigilante. I don't know what it would be.
That'd be
I'm
awesome.
willing to hear what.
That would be awesome. I'm sure he would love to.
Yeah, and I'd put it at the beginning of the audio of the podcast.
That'd be awesome. But other than that, just thanks for inspiring me. Go to my channel, people. Check out what I have to say. I'm a crazy ranter. It's called The Ripple Effect with God's Favorite Atheist. Come be my ripples.
Nice. So check that out, you guys. Check out The Ripple Effect with God's Favorite Atheist. Arabella, thank you so much for...
Thank you.
So great.
I had a great time again. Now I can't wait till the next time.
Awesome. Well, this is fantastic. And, of course, everybody watching, I'll put a link, actually, to her YouTube channel, Ripple Effect, in the show notes below. And this has been Graham Elwood, the Political Vigilante. Make Gotham great again.
Do it.